All right, so many of you have been asking me about the QBI deduction. You want to know, how does the qualified business income deduction play into the role of deciding whether or not you're going to have your business continue to be taxed as a sole proprietorship or if it should be taxed as an S corporation, right? Some of you are wondering, does the QBI deduction go away? Is it reduced? How does all that work? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about just that. And not only am I going to, answer the question, but I'm going to show you by way of some examples. So I'm going to show you how the math works if you have $40,000 in profit, 50, 75, 100, 150, all the way up to $250,000 in profit, so that you can make a decision that's right for you. For those of you who don't know, the QBI deduction is a 20% tax deduction that applies to businesses that are taxed as sole proprietors, partnerships, and S corporations. But, is deduction reduced when you're an S corporation? Or is it eliminated altogether? I'm going to show you in this video. So before we get started, if you do learn something when we go through this, please do consider subscribing to the channel, or like the video, or even better, do both, right? All I do on my channel is educate you and provide tax strategies for small businesses. So whether you watch this video and incorporate this strategy, or watch another video and incorporate a strategy, you'll likely be saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in taxes. So before we dive into the spreadsheet that I created for you, let me just say that there are many factors that goes into the QBI deduction. So it's really, honestly, quite hard to create one video that kind of encompasses all those different variations. But for these numbers, I'm assuming that you're single and the only money that you earn is via a small business that you have, right? So you don't have rental income, you don't have a W-2 job. Some of those things play a role in here, some of them do not, but I just want to kind of make that disclosure. So if we look at what we have here on the screen, what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, you've got income of $40,000 and you're either going to be taxed as a sole proprietorship, which is going to be this sort of column here in the blue color, or you're going to be taxed as an S corporation. So when I go through this example, I'm going to assume that you have $40,000 worth of profit in your business, and I'll walk you through some of the numbers here. And then in the future profit amounts, like when I bump it up to 50,000, 100,000 or whatever, I won't really explain as much. I'll just give you the numbers. All right. So just in case you need a little bit of background about what taxes you pay as a sole proprietorship, basically on the profits of your sole proprietorship, you're going to pay these taxes over here. You're the employer and you're the employee. So you're going to pay 6.2% in Social Security taxes as the employer, 6.2% as the employee. Medicare, same kind of thing. 1.45% is the employer, 1.45% is the employee. So $40,000, if you earn that profit, you'll have to pay Social Security and Medicare taxes of $5,652. Now, if you're doing the math, you'll see that 40,000 times 15.3% doesn't equal 5652, and that's because they give you some additional deductions on the self-employment taxes. And so just trust me when I say that this is a number. This number is probably more like 14% and change instead of the 15%. But I didn't want to go through the math and how that all works, so this is the actual number. 5652 is what you would pay. All right. The QBI deduction would be $4,995. So that number here, the QBI number, is here for just reference only. That's not something you're going to add or subtract from your taxes. I just want to let you know what the QBI deduction is that you're getting. Federal income tax is paid. Again, if you're single and you earn $40,000, you're going to pay taxes of $2,203. So your total tax paid, which is the sum of the self-employment tax and your federal income tax, is $7,855. So how does that compare with an S Corp? Well, if you're watching my videos, you know that the S Corp strategy is all about trying to save money in self-employment tax. So in this scenario, I'm saying you got $40,000 worth of profit, but what you did is you took $20,000 in the form of a salary and $20,000 in the form of what's called a distribution. So what you may have learned either in a previous video or what you're going to learn now is that the S corporation, when you do this strategy, is you only pay the Social Security and Medicare taxes on the portion that you paid yourself as a salary. So in this example, John, I'm going to say John is the employee here, or the owner of the S Corp. He pays himself 20 grand in salary. So he pays his portion of the Social Security and Medicare taxes, and the S Corp has to pay a portion as well, the other half, right? We got the employer and employee relationship happening again. So the employer pays $1,530. John, the employee, pays $1,530. But here's, if you own the business, you are the employer and employee. So at the end of the day, $3,060 in Social Security and Medicare taxes are being paid, right? So when we compare that to the sole proprietorship, we're like, wait, this is a way better deal. I'm, saving $2,500 in taxes, right? You still get the QBI deduction when you're an S corporation. The thing is, you get the QBI deduction based on the amount that you take as a distribution. So it's 20% of the amount you take as a distribution, okay? So I put it here in this column of $4,000 is your QBI deduction. The federal income tax is paid. When I put this through my tax software, we got $2,665. So the total taxes paid as an S corporation was $5,725, $5,725. So what is your tax savings? Your tax savings is the $7,855 minus the $5,725 equals your tax savings. Now, S corporations aren't free, right? You're gonna have to do some things in order to have one. So you might have additional tax preparation fees that you might incur. I went kind of high here. I wrote $900 for a business that's only producing $40,000 in profit. Your CPA might charge you less, they might charge you more, but if you do this on your own, you might pay $200 for the software or TurboTax to do your own taxes. So adjust these numbers accordingly. Payroll service, I'm a believer in if you're a business owner, you don't want to be doing those payroll reports on your own. Go ahead and hire a company to do those payroll filings and the reports for you. So I'm going to say, that cost is around $40 a month or so, right? Annual fees to maintain your LLC. Well, I could have put zero here, although there are fees to maintain your LLC. In my opinion, if you're running your business as a sole proprietorship or it's taxed as a sole proprietorship, you should probably have an LLC anyway to help with that limited liability protection. So you can kind of consider this a cost that is not an additional cost. You probably should have it regardless. So you can maybe reduce these amounts by $500 to $700. But either way, the total fees in my example is $1,630. So you take the $2,130 in savings minus these additional fees that you're going to incur, and you still get $500 in taxes that you save. Again, you can reduce this number to $500 and this number down to $0, because in my opinion, that's probably what you'd pay for this type of return. And you can see those tax savings increase to $1,150. But let's just keep the numbers sort of consistent here as we go through these examples. All right, so that's $40,000. I'm not going to explain it in that level of detail in each scenario. Let's bump it up to $50,000. What happens? Well, you're going to pay total taxes of $10,162. You can see the split. It's $7,000 or so in self-employment, $3,100 or so in income tax. So you get 10. If you're an S Corp and you make 50 grand, you might want to do a 50-50 split between salary and distribution again. And the self-employment tax you pay is $3,825, but your federal income tax is $3,745. So your total taxes, $7,570. You're saving $2,500, actually almost $2,600, minus your fees, and you still have a net tax savings of almost $1,000. All right, let's move on because you're going to see something interesting happen when we get to the 250 mark. $75,000. Again, you can slow your video player and look at this and digest it on your own. Total taxes paid $16,581 versus $13,029. So now you're saving about $3,500 after fees. You're getting a savings of like $2,000. $100,000. Well, here total taxes $24,195 versus $18,660. After fees are being paid, your total tax savings is roughly $4,000. All right, $150,000 in profit, right? What taxes do you pay here as a sole proprietorship? $39,161, $20,500 or so being self-employment. Federal income tax is about $18,600. As an S corporation making 150 grand, you might do a split that looks more like this: 56,000 in salary, 93,000 in distribution. And so therefore, your total taxes paid is going to be 31,000. So you're saving close to $8,000 in this scenario. Again, you still have those same fees, and so your net tax savings is about $6,000. Let's bump this up a couple more times. Let's go to 200 grand in profit. What do the numbers look like? Well, here, total taxes, $52,000 in taxes. I know that number is starting to get scary, right? Again, this is if you're single. If you're married, filing jointly, your federal income tax would be a little bit less, but your self-employment taxes would be pretty much this number. So total taxes paid 52 grand compared to 43.8. All right. So you're saving $8,500, and after your fees, you get $6,891 in savings. So almost $7,000. Now let's look at what happens when you have $250,000 in profit. Well, in this scenario, there is a phase out of the QBI deduction when you're single. The number is, I think, 250, might be 200, don't quote me on that. And if you're married, it's even higher. The phase out doesn't really apply when you're married until you make like 400,000. But as you can see, a sole proprietor who makes 250 grand, they're going to pay $23,453 between Social Security and Medicare taxes, and the additional Medicare tax is starting to kick in. All right. QBI deduction, 0. It was 100% phased out. So the federal income tax here, $54,368, and total taxes between Social Security, Medicare, and federal income tax was almost $78,000 in taxes. All right. Let's compare that to the S Corp scenario. Here, I'm saying you might take about $81,000 in salary, $168 in a distribution, and therefore your FICA taxes were only $12,431. FICA is kind of synonymous with Social Security and Medicare. All right, so it's almost half the amount of Social Security and Medicare taxes. You still get your QBI deduction of $33,750. Your federal income tax paid is $46,613. So your total taxes, $59,000. So a tax savings of $18,777 if you earn $250,000 or more in your business, and you're still being taxed as a sole proprietorship instead of being taxed as an S corporation. You net the fees, you get $1,630 in fees, and so your net tax savings is over $17,000 in taxes. So I know I went through that quite quickly, but I just wanted to show you how the QBI deduction works when you're a sole proprietor versus an S corporation. Don't think that just because you get the 20% QBI deduction as a sole proprietorship that it's eliminated when you're an S corporation, or that it's reduced so much that the S corp still doesn't make sense. You kind of saw through every example, the S corp, once you have a profit of $40,000 or more, it still pays you to be an S corporation. All right. With that said, I just want to mention a couple quick things to you. Number one is my website. You can go here to learn more, and I have a bunch of free resources on here. One of the things that is not necessarily free, but something that you can do is register on the waitlist for my course. So I am creating a course. If you click here where it says click here hyperlink, you'll go to the learn more section about the course. And here I'm teaching you the basics. So what is an effective tax rate, a marginal tax rate? What taxes do S corps pay? What taxes do sole proprietors pay? What do those tax returns kind of look like? Building the foundation so you can have that understanding of how these things work. Then I'm going to teach you the powerful tax strategies that I create videos about. The S corporation, hiring your minor children, taking it a step further, hiring your minor children, having them open a Roth IRA at the age of 7, and having that money grow as they're an adult. They'll have $1 million easy by the time they're in their 40s. How that you can save for retirement. Maybe you want to put up to $50,000 in a retirement account in a single year. So I don't just stop there. I don't just tell you about the strategies. I actually show you how to implement them and how to implement them within accounting software so that you actually have financials that you can give to a bank, borrow money if you need to using your business financials, showing you how to, take the home office deduction properly, the cell phone deduction properly, your auto expenses properly, all of that. Register for the waitlist if you'd like to learn more about it. But on my website, you can file your LLC or S corporation for free. If you use this company, Inc. Authority, they're not charging you anything right now. So go to my website, click on these links. You can compare these other companies that I've compared for you, see how they match up against one another, and just click on these links to visit them. You can schedule a Q&A session with me if you've got questions beyond the scope of this video that you want to ask. schedule 30 or 60 minutes. But down here, I've got my video library where all of my videos are here for you to watch for free. I don't ask for an email address or anything like that. You can get these videos for free. All right, with that said, coming up is another video on this sort of topic. So if you like this video and you want to learn a little bit more about that S Corp, click on this video. You're going to learn a little bit more. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that I can see you in the next video.